Hi Gateway, it's David here again with another quick video for you. Wanted to say hello and share a couple of thoughts with you over the next couple of minutes. Hope you're doing well, hope you're managing to survive and find ways of making being stuck at home easier on yourselves and on those around you. I was really lucky on Monday. I got to go out of the house for a constructive reason. I got to go down to Food Bank at St Mark's. We're continuing to run a food bank service from down there, and in a restricted way. So we're just serving people food at the door. We're not inviting people into the building. But it was actually really nice to go down there to meet with a couple of other volunteers who were helping out, giving out food, obviously keeping our social distance and kind of dancing around each other in the cafe area at St Mark's as we were packing up food parcels. But it was really good to be with other human beings in a way that wasn't via a screen, to be honest. Yeah, I was really struck as well by some of the people that were coming to our doors on Monday, some of the folks who are really struggling at the moment with this crisis and the situation they find themselves in. Spoke to one guy who just come out of prison a couple of days ago. His benefits hadn't started getting paid yet, and so he didn't have any food. I was just struck how difficult it must be for somebody in that situation. Hard enough coming out of prison and adjusting back to normal life, but to do that in this kind of setting must be really tough. We had another guy who asked if we had any tents, if we could give him a tent to sleep in for the night. Obviously we didn't, and it was really difficult to have to say no to him and really, struggle to give him the help and the support that he needed. We were able to give him some food, but not a lot else, unfortunately. And it just prompted me to encourage you guys actually to be thinking of and praying for those people who are really on the edges of society. They have it tough most of the time already, don't they? But particularly in this sort of situation, they are even more vulnerable, both to catching this virus, but also to not not being able to access the services and the support that they would usually get. So please do be praying for those guys and thinking about those guys at the moment, and be praying for the services that are still going and that are still running out there, that are looking to serve and support people who are vulnerable. I think particularly of Lighthouse, which is a church group which is connected with St George's, and they do incredible work with people who are homeless and people who are living on the margins of society, and they're trying to find ways to continue to help and support people, whilst at the same time obviously following all the rules and guidelines from the government about social distancing and all of that. So please do be praying for those guys over the next few days. And yeah, it just struck me that is one of the real evils of this situation that we're in, isn't it? This isolation, this loneliness that can come when we're not connected with one another. And I was reminded the other day that the first time that something is described as being not good in the Bible pops up in Genesis chapter 2, and it's when God says that it is not good for Adam to be alone. God created human beings to live in community, to be connected with each other, to love one another. And so it's so important and helpful for us at a time like this to remember that is the way that God made us. And especially for those of us who maybe, like me, attempted to go a bit insular, go a bit into ourselves. Maybe we're introverts, maybe we quite like spending time on our own. It's important to remember that, isn't it, that we are created for community. That's how God's designed us. And so just felt God wanted to encourage us to be continuing to find ways that we can connect with people at this time. If we are struggling, if we are feeling isolated, if we're feeling the need of some human contact, then to be humble enough, I guess, to shout out and ask for help in those things, to speak to our life group leaders, to make a phone call, to send a text message to say, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling low, I need some connection right now. It's great to be in a church family that loves and cares for one another, isn't it? And we have every right to take advantage of that at times like this. So just wanted to encourage you guys to please be doing that. And that just reminded me of a verse from 1 John chapter 4, which says this: no one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us and his love is made complete in us. And I was just really encouraged by the fact that though we might feel isolated at times like this, because God lives inside of us, we are never actually alone. We have his friendship, we have his companionship with us, don't we? God is alive in us, and so we have a real deep, heartfelt connection with him. But actually, the Bible says there's something about this truth that is only made complete when we look beyond ourselves, when we share that love with one another. And so again, even if it feels really hard to do so, even if it's with people that we're living with that we might be finding quite annoying at the moment, that we might not really feel that we want to spend much more time with, it's so helpful to remember that is how God has created us, to live in community with one another and to love one another. And so I just wanted to encourage you guys with that today. Let's go on loving each other, even when it's hard, even when it's difficult to ask for help. Let's keep looking outwards and remember ultimately that we have God's love living inside of us, and that is a huge gift that we get to share with the world.